All right. Welcome to episode number 12 of the Soul Rollers podcast. My name is Jackson Gage. I'm here with William Dennis, and today we're going to be talking about William's first ever Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition that he participated in last weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. And after talking to him a bit this week, he mentioned a lot of good points that seem very valuable as far as mindset and what he went through mentally and what kind of value he got from competing that I thought would be, really valuable to the listener, anybody in jiu-jitsu or anybody in life in general who's interested in personal growth and personal development. Because these concepts can be, transferred over to anything in life, really, just like jiu-jitsu can be. And yeah, so I'm going to just ask him about that. And if we have time, we'll go over a couple of other things and like a kind of a plateau that I broke through recently. And if we don't have time, I'll record another episode on it. But first, I want to talk to William about his recent competition. So we'll get kind of right into it, man. So you had your competition last weekend and you've been preparing since before COVID. And he was preparing pretty hard prior to COVID because it was scheduled prior to COVID. Then it got canceled, and he was prepared. He was training like 9 times a week and just going crazy with training. And then they told him it's canceled, so he had to kind of reconfigure his mind. And I think they canceled it again after that, or it was kind of on and off type of thing until recently. And what'd you know about a couple months prior that it was happening?
Yeah, it got canceled. It was the beginning of December, then it got canceled and went to January, then February, March, April, and then May. So it was
Okay.
6 months of cancellations to get to May 1st, and that's when we actually got to go.
Okay, so that's that in itself is has to be a little bit of a mind fuck, if you're concentrating on, you signed up for a fight and you're trying to get your mind prepared, and then they keep telling you, they keep moving it forward, so you have to just kind of I would say you have to keep can you explain how that was for you as far as just trying to prepare for your first battle, and then them telling you you're not going to do it, and them telling you you're not going to do it? How was your training within that? Did it go up and down kind of?
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster because, when I made the decision to compete, I talked to my wife and said, "Hey, this is a big commitment because I'm gonna have to put in a lot of time to be ready to compete." And so she's like, "Yeah, we'll all make adjustments and we'll sacrifice a little bit of the time at home so that you can be there and compete." Because some nights I'd be there 3 hours straight, training. So it was making the family life a little hectic. I'd have to bring the kids with me. They would sit there for 2 3 hours straight to let me train as much as I needed to. And so that's a lot for kids, 2, 5, and 13 at the time. So that's a lot of sacrifice from the kids, and we're getting home later. It's a lifestyle, it definitely is a lifestyle. So for us, we made that sacrifice, and then to kind of have it like taken away, it's like, oh man. And so I was trying to balance like that much training with having the kids and dinner and all the daily life stuff. You have to make sacrifices and make it fit. So there was the ups and downs of it, but really I think it benefited me overall because I just got that much more training in, and you really need you almost need to test yourself to kind of know. I remember with back-to-back classes, you'll roll 5 6 rounds, and then you'll go to the next class and roll 5 6 more rounds. And so 12, 13 rounds in a training session is like you're exhausted, after the first class, and the second class really gets you. So I just remember he's like, okay, 4 more rounds, and I'm getting up like, oh god, because I'm not rolling with just like easy guys. It's like all the upper belts, and they put it to you. So I'm like, how can I do 4 more rounds? I didn't even know I could do this last one. And I'm like, well, whatever. He says keep going. And I just kept pushing myself. And you really need to know that even when your body is exhausted and your brain's like, oh, I got nothing left, you could keep going. You just go past that breaking point or that exhaustion point. And I think because I got those things canceled so much, it kind of helped me keep pushing through that and kind of get to that, you know, exhausted state and push through it. And it really helped in the tournament. It made a big difference.
Yeah, I bet it did. You were training hard, man. And you know, I mean, I figure right? You're going into a fight like that. You might as well push yourself to the brink, and because there's somebody else who's there and you don't know how hard he's training. Maybe he's not training as hard as you, and that's a good thing because you're gonna win, you know. And uh also, real quick, you know, for anybody listening, I'm sure that a lot of people listening are guys like us, guys with families who are training jujitsu or maybe getting into jujitsu. And I just want to commend you for being an example for them and showing like, hey, not only am I training jujitsu, I'm training jujitsu, signing up for a competition, going multiple times a week, multiple times a day with my kids, making dinner, you know, doing everything I need to do, and still going out there and doing it, because all those things that you overcame during that process are, for one man, those are struggles that are something that you can overcome and push you forward, and for another, those become excuses, you know. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys sitting out there with excuses that my wife won't let me train, I got the kids this night, you know, I got to get dinner ready, I'm just going to stay home, something good, there's a game on TV, you know. And you're out there setting goals and crushing them, man. So that's good shit, and that's inspirational to anybody probably listening. So good for you, man. Anyhow, so you went to, so you're getting yourself prepared for the tournament, and it's coming closer. And how, as maybe like the week leading up to it, how were you feeling? Was it just kind of the same, or were you getting a little more focused? Were you getting nervous? Were you getting in your head at all? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely nervous, you know, because it's, you know, now it's go time. I mean, there's no, did I train enough? Did I not train enough? How much should I train? When should I stop training to kind of give myself some time to rest? All those questions kind of go through your head. And again, I mean, I'm competing as a white belt, you know, so it's not like this is like, you know, masters worlds, like this, like some huge event, you know, but it is like a big deal because it's my first competition. So I just didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, man, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know how to track my progress. I don't, man, maybe I've just not done enough. I'm not even close to where I need to be. Who knows? And so there's a lot of that going in my head, just the uncertainty. And I kept reminding myself, like, in uncertainty is a ton of possibility. You know, because yeah, it could be that could be have been the answer is you didn't train enough. But to me, I'm thinking, man, I don't know. A lot of the blue belts, like, you know, one of the guys I was training with, D, he's like, you've put in a lot of work. I really want you to tell you, like, you're really doing a lot. You're working hard. You put in the work. You're gonna do great. And that kind of stuff helped. Just getting the encouragement from the guys and coach telling me, yeah, you're ready. You're gonna do great. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna trust them because I don't know. I don't know what where to go. So definitely in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I'll take off this day, and I don't know, and I'm sore and I'm tired. Your body's like trying to protect you. It seems like your mind's like, you're tired, just stay home today. And I'm like, nah. So Thursday night I went and had some vicious rolls. They were really hard. I'm like, dang, I wonder if I should be rolling so hard right before, like 2 days before my competition. But at the end of the day, it's still jujitsu, you know, and it prepares you, it gets you ready, you know. And now that I've done the competition, I go, oh yeah, you need to train hard. It's not, it's jujitsu, you know, you do hard rolls at the academy and you get up and you go again, you know. And it's the same thing in the competition. It's, the rules are different, but they're very, it's very similar because you're still gonna have a hard challenge ahead of you. And really, it's all about the mentality. It's all about knowing, okay, I've done this before. I've fought through harder roles. I can get through this. So the week leading up was just a whole bunch of doubts. Like I really just doubted my capability, or if I had trained enough, if I had cut corners, I didn't do enough. And then just realizing, like, yeah, I'm just being hard on myself. And so I just kind of went into it going, hey, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick on something that you said, and you know, because even though it's just a, you know, oh, I'm just a white belt doing the tournament, it may not be a professional level fucking competition, but you're still, you know, 35, 36, 35,
Yeah, I'll be 36 in a couple
almost
weeks.
36-year-old married man with a family, you know, full-time dad, and you're out here signing up for fights, man. And we're and you know, we're not out here to be fucking champion of the world, you know, obviously, but we're doing this for the personal development side of it. We're doing it for what it does for us. It doesn't matter what fucking color belt you got around. You signed up to go fight other dudes for the betterment of yourself, So that's another, anybody listening, I'm sure anyone listening is here for that reason anyway, like that's why we're doing it, man. So I think it's awesome what you did, and I just want to hear more about it because we haven't even talked about the details. So let's fast forward, take us in time to the morning of your competition, like what you did. You woke up and were you nervous?
Yeah, I woke up at like 4 a.m., just kind of awake and ready. I don't know if that's just my body getting ready or what, but I remember waking up real early and going like, okay. And I just started leaning back and visualizing, and because my family was still asleep, in the hotel room, and I was just visualizing, just really letting go of like each move I was gonna make. Like, oh, I'm gonna pull guard, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get an arm bar here, I'm gonna do it. No, no, no. Like I just kind of let go and just kind of almost like let the match play out in my head. Really, I was just letting it play out, kind of what I could expect, what could happen, and then I just started visualizing myself like kind of holding the gold medal and like really smiling big about it, feeling good, like wow, I did it, I went for it. That kind of visualization was just kind of letting it go through my head just to kind of get through the early wake up. And then went to breakfast with my family because I still had to weigh in, and I'm under the weight. So I'm usually like 5, 6 pounds under the weight I signed up for.
Hmm.
So you weigh in with your gi and everything. So I had to be careful, like what I ate, just in case. I ended up weighing in like 140, 152. So I was under the weight. So it was good. And that was after eating. So I was probably lighter than I needed to be. And so we went over there, ate, and then I went to the competition and got weighed in. So I got there probably 3 hours before I competed. So I got there around 9 a.m. and I competed at 12.
Okay.
And so I got to watch like a couple of my guys go, and then watch coach roll. And it was really intense, man. It was really loud there. They got music going. There's tons of people. There's a lot of guys walking around in their gis, and you know how like people just strutting around, and so you're like, dang, man, these guys look more confident than me, or the doubts
Mm.
start playing.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember like even having shortness of breath, and so I had to take some deep breaths, and I didn't want to go into it and try to amp myself up, because once you get amped up, there's only one direction to go from there, which is down. And so I figured I'm gonna get amped during the rolls, and so I might as well let that be when I like kind of jolt up and get amped. And so I had to hang out there for a couple hours. I got to watch one of my guys compete, two of them actually, and then so that was kind of nerve wracking because I saw both of them lose one match. So I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And but it was encouraging too because they were really going for it, and coach was right there with them. I got to watch coach compete, which he was just smooth and cool, like he's just walking out to do something relaxing, like go. It was just like he went out there and just he went against guys that were like 30 or 40 pounds heavier than him too. And so he went out there and just smooth as ice, just freaking submitted this guy so quick. I'm like, holy crap. Like it was like nothing. He just got a hold of the guy and it was over. And I'm like, wow. And you could tell like his facial expressions. He was just, he's a very seasoned competitor. So he knows what he's doing and he knows how to just like calmly do his thing.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of inspiring because right after he goes out there, submits this guy, and then goes sits down with his son and starts reading this like kid book with him, just being like a dad. I'm like, what? Wow, like dang, it was impressive. So he's locked in, goes and does his competition, then comes out and starts reading a book with his son and just chilling. And so it was really inspiring to see him, be a good coach and be a good man and a good father all at the same time during this competition. It was really cool.
Right on. So so going into this competition, did you have a specific kind of game plan for yourself? Something that you wanted to do? Did you want to try to, I know you've worked closed guard a lot. Was that the plan to try to pull closed guard and work from there?
Yeah, it's just like you never know how the setup is going to work. Like, of course, I wanted to get to close guard, but I always want to get to close guard. And of course, the guys you roll with in the academy, they know you pretty well, so they try to avoid that. And even with coach, it's like I'll roll with him, and if I can get him into close guard, it's so hard because he's like, I don't want you to get me in your close guard, but he makes me work for it. And so he knew that I had really worked hard on my close guard. And he's like, look, you stick to that game plan, you're going to win this tournament. And I'm like, what? Like, dang, is he just trying to encourage me or does he know and sure enough, I mean, he just had a game plan in his head. He knew my strengths and I just listened to him. So for me, it was just like I knew my strongest thing was close guard, but I didn't know how I was actually going to get into close guards, because
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
that easy. You start standing up and you have to get your grips, you have to work through whatever they throw at you, and you got to figure that out. And I don't know how you feel about standing up, if you feel real confident standing up and all that. It feels weird, man, especially when this was the closest thing I've felt as a fight since I've been a cop.
yeah,
Because even hard rolls in the academy, it's like you get tapped or you tap them and you start right over. It's just no big deal. You just keep rolling, keep going. But there's like a finality to this where it's like it's very, very intense until it's over, and then it's completely over. You either win or you lose, and that's it. It's done.
yeah.
And so you go in there, and it's like I remember you have to sign into the bullpen. So you go walk in this line. And so there's all these competitors around me, and they're the guys I'm competing against and other guys that are competing against one of my training partners. And so you're like, yeah, it's hard to size guys up. You don't know, like they're
Not
bouncing around, acting like they're really like focusing into it. And they're like, whoa, like really pumped. And I'm like, that's either they're very skilled or they're just acting. I
yeah,
just I just chilled. I just sat back. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill. Let's see what happens.
yeah,
And so I didn't know what to expect. The guys were bouncing around. They're looking real serious. They got their headphones on and they're really into it. And I'm like, damn, is there something wrong with me? Like I'm just chilling. Like
yeah, yeah,
so, and so it was intense. It definitely was intense. There, and of course, my mind does that too. But you hear them calling out your guys in your division. You're like, ah, shit, man.
who are
Like,
these other guys? Who are these
yeah,
motherfuckers? Yeah,
yeah. You get this
yeah,
like they're all intense and they're just doing they're strutting around. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
not saying that negatively. It's just like that's how we show up. In different ways.
yeah, yeah,
So it was intense. You have to sit there with them. They're all looking at you. They call your name and everyone like stares at you. They're like, oh, that's him. Okay, I knew who I'm going against.
yeah.
They're trying
Oh
to
yeah,
size
yeah,
you
yeah,
up. They're just trying to
yeah,
size you up.
yeah. That's cool, man. So, all right, so you sign up, you're in the bullpen, and then they
Yeah,
they
they take
call
us
you.
to our mat. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
call
call
you
you.
over to the mat.
Yeah, they call you on the mat. Yeah, I've watched the girls do it like a million times, man. I get nervous as fuck when my daughters fight, man.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, how you feel when you're the one fucking fighting. So they call you out onto the mat, you and your opponent. And how was it? Was your first opponent? Who was your first opponent? Do you remember?
His name was like David Gonzalez or Galagos or something like that. He was a Hispanic guy, really tall dude, kind of similar frame to me. So he goes out. It's like they just call you up, and I didn't know where I was gonna go. It was just coach sits down and he's like, "All right, William Dennis," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so
Did the adrenaline turn on when they called your name?
yeah, as soon
Yeah.
as because you have your shoes on, you kick your shoes off and you step onto the mat and you walk out and the ref's there and you shake his hand. I bowed and shook his hand. As soon as I stepped onto the mat, the nerves start going. It's like, oh shit, like. And so I was kind of like, because my family's there, there's a bunch of people there watching me, coach is there,
Coach, your teammates. Yeah.
it's nuts, man. And they got this timekeeper and they got all the monitors going and they're recording you. And it's nuts, it's intense. And so you're standing in front of this guy, and I don't know him from anyone else. I've never met him before, and I'm going to go grab onto him and yank him around and trying
Fight
to
him.
submit him. And it
Yeah.
felt like a fight. It really did, because as soon as they say go, which is pretty quickly, you're trying to get your grips and you're trying to, I usually reach and I pull open the gi, when I'm standing. It just kind of, it gives me something to, tug onto and get a hold of when we're grappling. But so I got his gi open, and I could tell just by the way, like he's grabbing at me, and he tried to trip and he tried to do some stuff. I'm like, this is real. Like it's
Yeah.
on. Like it
Yeah.
felt real. It wasn't the way you roll at the academy, because
Yeah.
even there you're it's not that you're holding back at all, but it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just really intense from the very beginning. And it's my first match too, so I was really like, that was going to set the tone for like how the day was going to go. Like if you lose your first match, you're like, ah, shit, I don't know.
So did it kind of as soon as that, you got your hands on each other, did it kind of slow down and you started thinking about your technique?
No, it's sped
No.
up. Yeah, it's fast, and it's you, like as soon as he grabs on, like he was just, you could, I don't know if you ever rolled with someone that's really like, just they grab onto you like for like their life depends on it. They just clinch onto you and they're trying to like pull your gi off almost. I don't know. It's very like gung ho, like rah, like brutal, like berserker type go, you know?
So give us a little like play by play of your fight, that first fight,
So
which what you remember.
so I go in and they say go, and so I'm trying to work like um kind of see how he's gonna grip me, because if he's gripping on real hard, I was gonna pull guard and work towards an arm bar right away, depending on how he's gripping. And I did go for that, but I didn't get it. So I pulled guard. I put my foot on his hip and I pulled down, pulled him into my guard almost. And what I do is I swing my leg over, and I can usually get, if I get the elbow in the right spot, I can quickly get like an arm bar. So that's what I was going for, just because of how, intense he was coming at me. So we shuffle around a little bit. We get grips here and there. He tries this really, it was a weak kind of like, trip, but it didn't get me. I just lifted my foot over it. And then I pulled guard real quick, and he goes real heavy and like pressure into me. And I'm able to get him in my close guard right away. And so I was able to work my close guard, which he doesn't know I was a close guard player, of course. But so I get him in my close guard, and he's really heavy, heavy, heavy. And I start climbing up with my close guard, and I start trying to work towards an arm bar because he's really pressuring into me. So I was trying to, work my way around that. And I kept threatening, both arms. I kept threatening to try to work towards arm bars on that, but I couldn't get his elbow all the way across the center line.
Mhm.
And so his coach, I heard his coach yelling like, watch out for the arm bar, watch out for the arm bar. He was watching for it. So I'm like, okay, he's going to be worried about the arm bar now. And this is like, it's not slowing down. It's speeding up, it's very intense. It's not slow. I wish it was like, oh yeah, it was cool. Like I was just chilling, but no, it's like really intense. Your muscles are firing. It's like, you probably forget to breathe. I probably did here and there. And so I think that's why you get so tired so fast. But I'm really kind of controlling his posture, really focused on just controlling him because he's smashed into me. He's pressuring me so much. So I was working towards the armbar, and I knew he was going to be worried about it because he was trying to block it and kind of keep his arm in. And as soon as I kind of go for armbar on his right arm, he kind of pulled it away. And as soon as he did that, I threw my leg over and I got the triangle. And so from the triangle, like he really starts, how they start stacking you and they're trying to fight their way out of the triangle.
So real quick, when you threw the triangle on, did you lock it right into a triangle, or did you just get your feet over and have them connected, and you still had to get the angle for the triangle?
I got my feet over, I got connected. I just had to get his elbow on the other side. So I had to transfer his arm over. You know how you straighten your hips, you pull the arm over, and that's when
Yeah.
you lock it in. I was fighting him to get the arm over. And because he's going back and forth, he's trying to get out because he's like, oh crap, I'm in a bad position. So it wasn't a pit stop, it was an actual triangle setup, but it's just about locking it down, like getting it locked in and getting the choke set. I had to get the right angle. I had to kind of set it up better, but for the
Okay.
most part, I was in the right position. I just had to get the angle and I had to lock it in better. So I
So
get
he's
him in that.
smashing you. He's trying to
Yeah,
smash you.
yeah, he just starts smashing. I could feel he's trying to get out of this, and I'm like, there's no way I'm letting him go now. So I'm fighting his arm, trying to get his arm across, and just trying to get the right, because you can feel when there's space. He still had some space. He was still wiggling around like crazy, really fighting me hard. And then I remember hearing, because all I could hear, I couldn't hear any of the noise from the audience. I couldn't hear any other noise. I could just hear coach, like I could hear statements from him, like words like, hey, get
Victor.
your head. Yeah. Yeah. So coach was like, get your head flat on the mat, get his elbow over. You got to get his arm across. And so I'm like, oh crap. So I get my head flat, and then I start, how they pushing into you to kind of stack you. So I start shrugging my shoulders to kind of slide back and just keep working that. But I'm also trying to work, if he's not going to give me the triangle, I'm going to work for the arm bar. So I started getting his arm in position to kind of start tweaking the arm and kept fight. It was just like a constant fight like that for like 2 minutes.
Okay. And then what happened?
Um,
Did he start getting tired from being in that position? That'll
yeah,
break you when you're getting squeezed like that. Fucking, it'll break you
yeah.
down a little bit, man.
Like, so I kept working towards getting a tighter squeeze, really like sinking in the squeeze, getting the arm in the right position, getting it across to the other side. We were fighting like that for a while. I'm sure he was getting tired because I was getting exhausted. And then I can't remember exactly now if I think that I just started getting the squeeze on the triangle and I kept fighting for the arm. And that's when I got the tap eventually. So it was like three something minutes, like 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes total. I got the tap from the triangle.
Did you get the arm across, or he just tapped from the?
Yeah, I got the arm across, and then I got it even to a position where I was attacking both, like the triangle and the arm bar. Kind of, if you get someone in a triangle, you know how you can get the arm positioned. I
Yeah,
had that, and so I was really giving it to him, and he finally tapped from the triangle.
nice.
So it was like, oh shit, and like it
That
was nuts. Like it was
that's
an intense feeling.
that's probably a great feeling.
Yeah, because I mean, I know how you know how it feels like when you're in a physical fight. And so it was like that. It was really intense. You're like, your brain is thinking like, man, do you have enough energy to get through this fight? Are you going to make it? Are you going to get too tired too fast? And like, you're questioning yourself, you're doubting, you're like, holy shit, can I keep doing this? How much further can I go? And, you have to keep reminding yourself like, hey, you've been through this hard shit. Go, keep going. You got this. Keep like he's slowing down. You got this. Keep going. It was just about like kind of overriding my brain and keep pushing. And so as soon as I was done, I'm like, holy shit, that was exhausting. Like my grips, my forearms are like super tense and tight and tired. And I'm like, I freaking won. I just won that match. Holy shit.
Yeah,
And so it felt good. And I'm like, wow, that was nuts.
yeah. Okay. And was he cool afterward? He give
Yeah,
you?
cool dude. We shook hands, and I told him thank you for, because he pressured me the whole time. He didn't make it easy at all, which I appreciated. I wanted it to be hard. And so I just, I went and shook his coach's hand, um, and then went to mine, and coach was like, hey, you got this, man. You play your close guard like that, you'll win this whole tournament. And I'm like, holy shit, okay, like no pressure, at least I got the
Yeah,
first one. I know my brain was like, all right, fool, I'm tired. Like, at least you got one win. Let's see, let's be done with this. And I'm like, no, man, I keep going here. What else can I do?
yeah. That's
So my
awesome,
brain
man.
was already wanting to be done after the first one. It was like, that was nuts.
Damn. So how long of a break did you have in between to your next fight?
I think one other match took place, one or two at the most. I think it was one. And then they're like, William Dennis, and I'm like, oh, like again, like
Again?
already.
Yeah.
And so the next guy, he was wearing a blue gi, and he was a shorter guy. But I really like, according to my last opponent, like you could easily looked at him and go, oh man, he's my size or a little bit bigger. He's probably going to take me. Like I didn't do that. I'm like, you know what? I've ruled against all different sizes in the academy. So I'm not going to judge him as not good enough, too good, any of that. I'm just going to say, hey, what do you got? Let's see it. Show me. If you beat me, I go, wow, damn, I didn't expect that. Great job, man. And so the second guy, he was shorter, but very stocky. And so that changes sometimes. Like when I roll with guys that are shorter and stockier, their game, it's harder to do some close guard on them sometimes. It's just different, depending on the build, the guys you roll against.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this should be different. And this guy, he got to watch my first match because I was the first one out of our competitors to go. So obviously him and his coach knew I was going to pull close guard, because they saw
Yeah.
my close guard the whole time. And so we
Okay.
walk out again, and I'm like, all right, shit, coach says I can win this whole thing. So I'm going to trust him. I don't know. I'm fucking tired already.
Yeah, yeah.
So you go out there and it's just as intense as the first one. I'm like, damn, this is insane. Like the just intensity of it. You're standing in front of this whole freaking stadium of people, it's like, Jesus, this is nuts.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I could already feel like my nerves, like, what the fuck are you doing? Go sit down in the audience with your family, dude. What are you doing in here? And I'm just like, well, fuck it. Like, let's see what happens. And so um, we shake hands, and then they say go. And sure enough, like as soon as we kind of start grabbing on each other, he's grabbing and he pulls guard right away. And so he drops down, and coach has been teaching us the passing and to stay off your knees when you pass. And so he's trying to pull me into his guard, and he's kind of setting it up where he has one arm over where he could have got like a triangle or something like that. And so I backed up a little bit to make sure he couldn't get that. I blocked that. And then I passed his legs, and I started moving around to pass. And it was like he was going for rubber guard or Williams guard or something like that, where he got one leg over the top of my shoulders and was just kind of had his leg up there. So I couldn't posture up and just go through for the knee cut. And so it was a little awkward right there for a little bit. And so I was trying to pass, and ended up like kind of getting almost to side control, but he had like his leg hooked around my right leg. And so I had my knee to his hip, but I couldn't get all the way past yet. And so what I did is I usually just, once I get somewhat of that kind of like, I guess it's like quarter guard, I don't know what it would be. I pulled him into my close guard, and I guess he got points for that. I guess they looked at it as a sweep. I don't know. So I pulled him into my close guard, and I started working my close guard up right away, but I got a little too high on my close guard, and so I threw on like a triangle, but it wasn't like the right positioning for it. So he kind of backed out, like when you got the triangle on, and then he just kind of twisted, where the leg was over his shoulder, he kind of twisted out and kind of got onto I guess it was side control, but I had kind of blocked his hip. And so coach was kind of, what's funny is I could hear coach throughout. I couldn't see him. I wasn't looking at the time. I didn't know about points. I didn't check any of that, but I could hear him telling me, hey, throw your leg up over his head, kind of get some space. And so I threw my leg up over his head and kind of pushed him off me a little bit. And I was able to get my lower knee in, and then I got to close guard. And by that time, my brain is like, it was so funny. As soon as he pulled guard, my brain was like, that's it. Let's just quit. And I was like, what? Like, no, I've been working passing. I can get through this, my
Yeah.
brain, like, but he kept holding it. And he's like, see, my brain was just like, you're not going to get it. Like, you might as well just let him sub you. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
my brain was ready to tap out like right away. It's like, oh, we're tired. Let's just be done. And it was weird because like the whole match, I had to like fight my brain. My brain was
Yeah.
like, nah, this is too much, dude. This is too risky. Like, what are you doing? It was so weird. My brain was constantly like intensely trying to get the hell out of there. And so the
Dang.
whole time I was trying to pass his guard, I was trying to get him in my close guard. My brain's like just freaking the hell out. See, your arms are tired. Oh, your legs. You're even be able to hold them in this. Oh man, it's like shut up, brain. Like the whole time,
Yeah.
just chattering at me, like just nagging the fuck out of me. And so I got him in. I recovered. My guard retention's pretty good, so I was able to recover my guard, and I took like kind of a breather for a few seconds. Like I was able to control his posture and kind of get him in my close guard. And that's when I started working back up again with my like a higher kind of close guard. And he was really like tripoding. Like when I had him in my close guard, he was like kind of sitting up and kind of like straightening his legs to kind of stand up. But I was keeping his posture down, like his head, I kept it broken down. So he wasn't able to posture up and stand up to break the close guard, but he was trying to like really put a lot of pressure on me and just like push into me. So I couldn't get an arm bar or anything like that. And sure enough, I just kept working up, kind of fighting because he was just really heavy. And then I kept working up high enough where he was trying to back out. And that's when I sunk in an arm bar on him. And I just let him have it. I just laid into it, and I had it really deep, but he was like really trying to work out. And he kind of like lifted me up in the air, and I still had the arm bar. And I'm like, dude, his arm's going to break, like he just wouldn't tap. And then sure enough, he finally tapped right at the end, and I let go. So it's kind of funny because my daughter had a video of it from far away, but you see me get lifted up in the air, and then he taps and I let go and fall back down. And so I got the tap on the arm bar, just a straight arm bar from that, and got the win. And I was just like, holy crap, like exhausted after that one. It was nuts. And it was a hard fight. So it was really intense and it was really fun. But I felt really good because I had that arm bar and I'm like, nope, not letting it go. And it was funny because sometimes, this might be too graphic, but you smash your junk a little bit when you're getting an arm bar if it's not exactly in the right spot. So
Yeah.
I was just like, smash it, don't care, I'm not letting go of this arm bar. And so I
Yeah.
just let it
Yeah.
hurt. So
Yeah.
it was getting smashed, and I'm like, oh well, I'm
Yeah.
not letting go of this shit. And sure enough, he like walked away. He was like shaking his arm, and like I don't know how bad it hurt,
Yeah.
but he looked pretty upset. But he was a cool guy. So we shook hands. I told him thank you for pushing me and stuff like that, and then shook his coach's hand and went back to mine. And coach is like, see, I told you, that was great, man, great adjustment. I knew you got that. And really good coach. He's just so good. He knew, he could have told you how that was all going to play out before. And I still don't get how he knows that, but
Yeah.
it was
Good,
great. So it
man.
was nuts. That second one was tough. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to the finals, because I had 3 matches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I just won. So I'm like, oh man, fuck. I hope there's a couple more like matches before mine because I'm fucking tired. Like
Yeah.
my forearms are just dead. They're so tight. I'm like, oh, like coach is like, rest, just sit still, and then they'll get you up there. You're going to be in the finals. I'm like, oh crap. So one of the guys, he helped me like kind of massage out my forearms because they just hurt so bad. And he was kind of, working me through it, telling me how to, watch, work on like getting the crown of the head, just helping me with what he needed to talk to me about. And then it was like, the other guy, my other training partner, he lost both of his matches. And so I had to watch him lose 2 matches. And I'm like, oh shit, like started getting you nervous, like, damn, you can get in there and you can go in there and lose. Like, so it was nerve wracking. Like, and then, oh, fuck the finals. Like, can I even win this? Like, man, oh, maybe I'll just be good at like getting second. Maybe I did enough to get second. My brain was telling me, because my
Yeah.
brain just didn't want to do it. It's just like, hell no, I don't want to go get another one. No, I don't want to do that. And I'm thinking like, man, do I even have the energy? What the hell am I going to do?
Yeah. Fuck.
It was like a constant, there's no comfort in it. It wasn't like, I wish I could tell you like, oh yeah, once I got going, it's like, whatever. It wasn't like that for me. It was intense the entire time. It was exhausting the entire time. I was
Yeah.
tired the whole time. And maybe that's just, being a new competitor, you got to learn how to calm down. I remember that as a cop, like your first leg bell, you're like freaked the hell out,
Yeah.
you're screaming on the radio and you're super exhausted, but it wasn't ever comfortable, but you like knew how to manage, the excitement later on, like once you had more experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how that works out with competing too, but yeah, I wasn't comfortable at all. It was intense as hell. These guys are like berserkers, man. They come at you and they want to like rip your head off.
Yeah. Okay. So you had 2 matches in between your second and third match. And
Yeah.
then were you kind of eyeing your opponent, the guy who made it to the
It
final with
was
you?
confusing because I wasn't sure which one was which, because I saw a couple of matches from my bracket, but and he won, the guy that I was going to the finals with. That guy, once I figured out who I was going up against, um, he won like his match, and I got to see that one, but I was confused as because they were mixing us up with 2 different weight classes, so I didn't know which one was which. I'm like, shit, which one's which? Like, whatever. So I didn't know who I was gonna. I didn't really. I saw him win, but of course it was a blur, and I just didn't know who I was going to compete against for the finals.
Yeah.
So once they finally said, "Hey," it was funny because in the finals both of us were named William. He was William like Brown or something like that, and I'm William Dennis. So I was like, oh shit, like both Williams going at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was crazy because it's like coach like, hey, your daughter saw that. Like I was watching them. They're really like, your family's up there. They're really excited for you, like you're doing this in front of your family. This is what it's all about. And I'm like, oh shit, like he just knows the right things to tell you to get you going. And so
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh fuck yeah, I gotta win this finals for them. Like I can't just, sit back on, winning 2 matches. I gotta win this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember just being super tired going, well, fuck it, let's do it. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So you got out there, and how'd this fight go? What was this guy like?
He
How
was
how was he built?
it was funny. He's built very similar to me. He had shaved head, tall, lanky guy. He was wearing a black and brown gi. And so, very similar builds with the same name. I'm like, oh shit, it's a battle of the Williams, like here we go. So
Battle against yourself.
yeah. And so it's very similar, kind of like I'm assuming with his similar build, he's probably gonna have a similar game to mine. Didn't know. So I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And so of course you start out, you shake hands, and then they say go. And it's just really intense. The hand fighting and getting grips and it is very intense in the beginning because everyone's just like really like hardcore, like go at it right in the beginning. And so he came at me and we kind of spun around and we ended up going down to the ground right in front of his coach because they're on both sides of the bench, like the booth.
Yeah.
And so we went down on the mat right in front of his coach, and his coach was like, kind of like right in my ear. I could hear him really close. I didn't look at him. I didn't see where he was, but he was really close. And what's funny is he starts calling the guy. He's like, come on, Iron Fist. And I was like, what
What?
the like his nickname was Iron Fist. Like Iron Fist, let's go work the angle like that. Move to the right so you get the right angle. And I'm like, what the hell? And I kind of have him like I have one leg around his back, but my other one, my foot's caught underneath him, and my knee is out to his side. So I haven't closed the
Oh
close
yeah.
guard yet.
Kind of like a
And so we're
butterfly type of
like
deal.
yeah, like one butterfly, the other one, my leg is around his back. So I haven't got to the close guard yet. And so we're fighting and kind of transitioning through that. And I'm able to kind of get him to close guard and start working my way up. but really intense dude, like right in my face, super strong, not letting go, not giving in at all. And so we're fighting right in front of his coach, and his coach is yelling and calling him Iron Fist and shit, which is really weird. I was like, God damn, who the hell am I fighting with right here?
Kung
Like, who
Fu
the hell is
master.
Iron Fist? Yeah, I was like, what are you gonna kung fu me? But so I just remember being super tired, like, holy crap, okay, keep working your close guard. It was just so exhausting. And so I was trying to work towards, working up, and I ended up, kind of as I got that leg free, I trapped the arm and I was able to get him into a triangle position again. Because I'm pretty good at sinking in that triangle, like, from my close guard. And so I got him into that position, and he was just fighting that like crazy. And I could see that he was kind of like starting to kind of fight to get some air. And so I grabbed onto his collar and I was pulling the collar like across his neck. I was doing anything I could to kind of make it more difficult for him, trying to get that arm. And I was able to work it so that I can get his arm in a bad position and start cranking up on my hips to get the arm bar on him as well from that triangle position. And we were just fighting for a few minutes like that. And sure enough, he was looking at me, and I could tell that he was kind of like starting to wane down, like starting to get like tired and kind of panicked because he wasn't breathing good. And so I just sunk in it a little tighter, and then I really cranked on the elbow. And that's when he finally tapped, and I won. So it was nuts, man. It was like, cause I was like, I don't have anything left. I don't have anything left. I don't know how much more I could do, but I'm like, no, he's more tired than I am. And we're looking in each other's eyes, and it was just like, whose soul's gonna break first? I'm like, not mine, dude. I'm just gonna go until I'm nothing. And so I could tell that and I was just trying to do anything I could to kind of heighten his, like, I guess, fear. I don't know what it would be, where you're like, I can't breathe good, like whatever his mind was doing to him, which is what mine was doing to mine. I was just trying to heighten that for him. Like, okay, I'm just going to make him panic a little bit more. If I can get after his throat, I can get after whatever, like that's going to make him panic a little bit more. And describing it sounds a lot more concise than it felt. Like, it was much more rushed and stressful and strenuous and intense during the role. Trying to describe it sounds a little bit more methodical, but it's very intense in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, the coach is yelling like, no, 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 watch the triangle, do this. And he's yelling in my ear. So I'm like, damn. So I was kind of using his coach to kind of do the opposite of what his coach was telling him to do. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to sink this in a little deeper then. And so I was
Yeah.
kind of using his coaching against him. I don't know if it helped, but that's what I was thinking. And then sure enough, I get the tap, and I'm like, holy shit, and like I told him, hey, thank you. Cause he didn't quit. Like, he was really pushing it till he was going. I think he was going to go out if he held on anymore. And afterwards he came up to me. He's like, hey, I pushed it to the very end. I was just starting to feel like blurry. And that's when I tapped. And I'm like, hey, totally understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I pushed it to the very edge with him, and it was a good match. It was fun.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it
That's
was
good.
intense the whole time. It
That's
wasn't
awesome.
like there was no relaxing, there was no chill. Like, it was just like, God dang, this is nuts, man.
Yeah, I bet right after that last tap, there was chill. I bet you freaking
Yeah,
your
it felt
whole
good.
body just relaxed. I bet, man.
And I don't think in until like I went over to the ref, and then he raised my hand, and I was just like, oh shit. Like, I just thought about my family, and I knew where they were sitting in the stands. So, I waved at them, blew them a kiss, like, to my kids. And when I went over, I shook his coach's hand, and I went over and gave coach a hug. And he was just like, great job. I told you, like, I knew it. And I'm like, dang, like, thank you so much for pushing me to this. This was great. Like, really getting me to do this, and for believing in me, because it takes sometimes like borrowing someone else's belief in you for you to push past your own limits. And I think
Yeah.
that's when it sank in, like, holy shit, I just won this freaking thing. Like, I was just trying to compete. I just hoping I'd win one match. I didn't
Yeah.
really know what to expect. And that's how low I had my limits set for myself. And I just wasn't seeing what coach was seeing or what my wife was seeing. I just wasn't giving myself the credit, for the work I'd put in.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy, man? The power of the mind, man. Like,
Yeah.
imagine as you move along, as you start, well, now you're probably starting to see it, but it's as you see it more and more, as you and you're going to become even more, you know, a force to be reckoned with as you step out there, as you believe that fuck, I got this shit, I got
Yeah.
this shit. None of these motherfuckers can get me. That's I'm sure you learned some powerful lessons about yourself in that process, man.
Yeah, I think the most is how much I was doubting myself, how much I didn't see what everyone else around me was like, yeah, you got this. And I'm like, what? How could you say that? And it's just it's on my own self-doubt. It's my own self disbelief, you know. And the thing is it's almost like, well, I'll have belief when things get easier or they make more sense or I get it or I'm not confused or doubtful. The truth is you're going to be doubtful the whole way through. There's not going to be an easy spot. It's not like the rounds got like as I rolled more, it got easier. It was just as hard, if not harder, because I was more tired. But it's just the mindset. It's like, no, I've got this. Like I can do this. I'm trusting coach. I know what, you know, he's a great coach. He's leading me the right direction. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to follow the game plan. I've been through this before. And just pushing yourself past your own mind. Like my own mind was working against me during those matches. And it's just like, hey, I'm not sitting here listening to, because I would have just like let him tap me in the beginning of the second roll if I was listening to my brain.
Isn't that
And I'm
crazy
like,
how that works,
what the
man?
hell? Yeah, we really need to condition our brain to work for us. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not working for us all the time. And mine isn't. And that's what that competition showed me. It's like, wow, how much better could I have done if I wasn't doubting myself 90% of the time, you know?
Exactly. That's where a lot of the work, that's where the work is, man, right there.
Yes.
I think that's what
That's
sets
what,
apart the greatest in anything. You're highly successful in any endeavor, man, is the self-belief. And one thing that you I think I told you already, but I was listening to this Will Smith video the other day and he was talking about chess and whatnot, but he was saying how you can set these amazing goals and you know, if you believe it and walk toward it, the universe or God or whatever will move the chess pieces to get you to that fucking goal, and it will happen for you. But what happens is our mind stops us before we even fucking start moving toward those pieces. When
absolutely.
the universe is there ready to give it to you, but your mind stops you and you never even take the first step. So that that sounds like kind of applies to what you're saying right there. You could have listened as you're telling that story. You're telling me throughout it, you're lacing all the doubts that you were having throughout. You know, what if you would have listened to those? I could even during the fight, you're probably like, I could just it could just take second. Fuck it, I'll be good. You know, imagine if you listen to those.
Yeah, it's weird because it was like a force field around the mat. It was like my brain was like, I don't want to step back on the mat. I'm like, nah, let's not do another one. Let's not do another one. I'm like, what? Like, that's what we're here for. Like, at least let me just go try, you know? Like, my brain was like, nah, that's dangerous.
Yeah,
And what was amazing too is because, you know, I do life coaching. It's not like jujitsu coaching, but it's still coaching. You know what I mean? And one thing that really hit me from this watching coach, because he's a really great coach. He was really there. He was, you know, there to support us. He sacrificed a lot to be there. It was great. He's just great. But I watched him. He
real
can,
quick, keep that thought while you talk about it. Whoever's listening is going to be like, oh, who's his coach? What schools he go to?
oh
Why don't
yeah,
you give him a shout out real quick?
rivalry jiu-jitsu in Fresno, coach Victor Cervantes.
Okay, so now our
Just
listeners know who you're
the
talking about.
best. He's the best, man.
Good dude, man. Good dude for sure.
He's a phenomenal human being and father, which was probably the coolest thing I saw is how he came off that mat and just went straight to his son, set his son in his lap, and they started reading a book. And he just, I mean, just submitted this huge dude. I'm like, what the? Like he just,
Is that what you were? Hold on, go back to that thought you had. One thing you learned as a coach, watching your coach, you were about
yeah,
to say.
like he prepares you. He does everything he can to get you ready and then supports you while you step out on those mats, and he gives you his insights and he's sharing the stuff with you. But at the end of the day, you got to take the action. You got to go for it. And for me as a coach, now I see that I'm like, wow, like I'm not responsible for whether my clients take the action and get the results they're after. That's their responsibility. I'm here to just guide. Like I'm here to be a guide. And I'm like, wow, he really is a phenomenal guide and mentor. Like he has a belief in me. He knows what I'm capable of, whether I know it or not. And he just simply shared that with me and said, hey, you play your closed guard the way you know how to. You're going to win this whole tournament. And I'm like, what? Like, really? He's like, he was dead serious. I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen to him because my brain obviously doesn't have it figured out. It's like telling me to go home and shit, you know?
Yeah.
And so it made me open my eyes to like, wow, I'm here to shine a light and provide, you know, some light on the path that people are on and go, hey, I believe in you. I know that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. Your brain's going to doubt the whole time, but you got what it takes. You do have the excellence inside you to make something happen if you want it to happen. And for me, I just watched how confident, how patient, and just consistent he was throughout the whole thing, whether it was winning or losing. Because my partner, he lost both of his matches, and the other guys lost a couple times. And he was very consistent, like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is our focus. This is where we're going, and what you do with it is up to you. And so it was really cool to see, win or lose, he was right there with you.
I think it's pretty cool that, not only because you're a life coach, I would say even into the mindset realm of coaching, and cultivating the belief type of coaching and mindset, and you've found your way. The universe has opened this opportunity for you to not only with jujitsu, not only develop yourself as a human, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, gaining confidence, self-belief, all these things that you're gaining from jujitsu. You've got a mentor who's teaching you jujitsu, but also you have a mentor who you can model coaching through. Even though you're not coaching jujitsu, you can watch how a successful coach does his thing, and you can draw from that. So you kind of hit the jackpot right there with that whole jujitsu thing, man. So,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
as we're speaking about it, if William does mindset coaching, so you know he's very good at it because we've worked together quite freaking intensely, and we'll probably do another episode talking about that. But he's done a lot for me, and I don't want to go get too deep in it, but I would highly recommend William if you're having doubts, if you have a big vision for your life, if there's something you want to work on, if you're stuck and you want to do something bigger but you don't know how to get there. William definitely has the tools and has put in the time to be able to help people get there and get into that direction. So, like I said, I can attest to that. So hit him up at the Will Dennis on Instagram, or you can
Yep.
even probably you can maybe email you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, thewilldennis@gmail.com. So
Yeah, hit up William. So, but one other thing you were talking about before we kind of get going, I hear you got some stuff going on in the background there, but but you were just saying how the medal, winning that medal is not that important of a deal to you. That's more like for your coach and the school and the team,
yeah.
and what's important to you. You kind of talk about that. You
Yeah.
mentioned all that to me.
When I went and I did the rolls against those guys, like the one thing in my head, there was the doubts for sure. But there's also these reminders, like you rolled with tougher guys, like you've done the hard work. You can get through this, keep going. Cause the guys I trained with, they pushed me, and then same thing with coach, like he knew what to train me on and how to train me. I mean, he guided me the whole way. So the medal is for them. I don't want to take like credit for that. Like, oh, that was just me. I'm just that good. I couldn't have done it without them. Like I just couldn't have. But more than anything, I think for me, like I have this picture of me smiling. I'm holding up the medal when I was on the podium, and I'm like, wow, I'm really blown away with just how happy I am. And it really was a moment where it really clicked in my head just how much I faced my own doubt doing that. Every roll constantly throughout the entire roll was just my brain doubting and fearing and trying to get out of there. And I'm like, wow, I really had to face myself more than the opponent in there. Because
Yeah,
at any time I could have just succumbed to that and you're like, yeah, you're right, brain, I'm done. So really it was like the win for me was the fact that I got on that mat 3 times against 3 different opponents, 3 totally different people I've never met in my life, and got in a fight with 3 different people and went for it with all I had. And they went for it with all they had. And at the end of it, I got my hand raised, but really I raised that hand against that own, like my own self-doubt, my own limiting beliefs, because I put the ceiling on myself as far as what I didn't think what I was capable of, and I proved myself wrong. And that's the win for me. That's better than a gold medal. But the school, like my coach, my training partners, they put me in the place to be able to get the gold. That was for them.
yeah, right on. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a great story, and I'm sure that can inspire anybody who's listening. If they want to compete or just getting into jujitsu. Like the whole process of personal growth and challenging yourself and getting past your doubts. So very inspirational first competition story. And do you have a picture on the podium, bro? I'm telling you, you should post that shit if you have one on the and tell
Yeah,
and tell the story you just told, man. That's freaking inspirational, dude.
Yeah,
Not
I
me.
didn't want to because I don't want it to be about me. I don't want it to be like, aha, I won kind of thing. Like, I don't want it to be like that. I really want people to see because usually most people only see the picture and they leave it at that. It's like, no, no, no. Like, be clear. Like this medal is for rivalry. This is for coach. This is for my training partners. But the smile, that's mine. Like, I own that shit because I'm proud of myself in that moment. I'm not only did I show myself that, but I showed my kids that. Like, hey, I was scared. I was doubtful. I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know if I could do this, but I went for it and I did it, and like that's
Yes, that
overcoming
would.
that doubt.
Yes, what you just said is a freaking story. That's inspirational, man. You just said that's your fucking poster right under the goddamn picture. I'm telling you, that's inspire. You inspire people. What you just said. Take that. Talk about your doubts. Put the goddamn picture up. I'm telling you, man. That will inspire. You know how many people will look at that, even if they don't comment or anything. People will be like, "Fuck, man, I'm sitting my ass on the couch, letting my life waste away. Look at William. Look what he's doing. He has
Yeah.
doubts. He's fucking going for it. He has a family. He's going for it. He's scared. He's fucking going for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, keep it up, man. You're being a light for people. You keep working hard.
Yeah.
You're doing
And
good,
that's the
man. You're
thing.
doing
It's,
great.
we all have the doubts, don't let that stop you. And remember the limits that are placed on you, they're inside your head and they're yours. And do you want to hold on to those? Where are they going to take you?
Yeah,
I, I was proud to let go of some of those and to lessen the load that I was carrying because of them.
yeah,
It's not something you should, and I'm not saying your first competition, you're going to go win gold. I don't know. I didn't know I was going to either. I just have a fantastic coach and amazing training partners, and maybe you don't, maybe you lose your first two matches and that's all you get. But I'm telling you, the feeling's the same. Sure, it's a little nicer to have the gold medal, but at the end of the day, if you feel what that's like, the intensity of it, someone trying to come at you and do that, even if you get tapped, whatever happens, you lose by points, who cares? You stepped onto that mat, you shook another man's hand and you went at it. And you both faced your fears, you both faced your doubts, and you went for it. Like, there's
yeah.
value in that alone.
Oh yeah.
So don't
That's
feel like you have to win. It's if you
no.
go and you sign up and you do it, you're gonna get something out of it.
Yeah, that's what I
And
was gonna
it's
say. I'm sure the guys that lost, I'm sure their lessons were just as powerful as the ones that you had. So
yeah.
it's just the process of challenging ourselves. So keep it up, man. You're doing great, man. And yeah, I think about that time, man, or you want to get
Yeah,
to
I gotta go check on them. They're screaming at each other and stuff like that. But
okay.
I think we got the gist of the story. I think I have some videos. I'll have to send them to you or something. We'll have to
Okay.
watch them together. But
Yeah, I'd love to see it,
um,
man. We can talk more about it. We can talk more about it later. And so yeah, we're gonna try to keep this podcast going, just discussing our journeys here in jiu-jitsu, and maybe a weekly podcast if we can. Tune in, subscribe, rate, and review. That helps us out. And it's jiu-jitsu life and self-mastery. And if you're into more inspirational type stories like this, I also have a podcast called the Increase Life, Conscious Knowledge and Inspiration, a guide to personal freedom, where I interview cool people and give inspirational talks on different personal development type shit. So check that out. And if you're looking for a mindset coach to help you to whatever fucking goal that you have in your mind, William Dennis will definitely help you out with that. So hit him up. And other than that, yeah, we're just gonna keep this going, man. So it's nice talking with you. Let's do this again soon.
yeah, man, it's great that you're getting back into the training and the stuff that it's really starting to click and kind of flow again for you. So I can't wait to chat about that too. It sounds like, it's really clicking for you and you're starting to build some momentum again. And it's great to see, man. It's good to see you push through. And that's another story that people need to know is it's not easy for you either, even just to train, but
Yeah,
you find a way to make it possible. And that is something people need to know because I'm telling you, now that I went to the competition, I don't care so much when I go sore or whatever. I'm like, whatever. This is just how it is. But people need to know that it's okay to be sore and pain, and you still go and train. You don't stop. And
yeah,
I think that's something that you could teach them too, because there's injuries that are involved in this, and they need to know that even though they're injured, there's ways to stretch and do the things that you do. You sacrifice a lot to make yourself be able to get to there, and that's inspiring as well. So let's keep this momentum going. Let's keep training. Let's keep hitting those breakthroughs and keep growing and keep this going.
yeah, most definitely, man. Right on. Sounds good. We will reconvene maybe next week or something. We'll do it again, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to get this up on the distributor.
Yeah, let's do it.
So right on, man.
Number 12. Number 12.
Yeah, number 12 in the books. Thanks for listening. Again, rate, review, subscribe to this podcast and share it. And anyone else who might be into personal development, jiu-jitsu, let them know about it. We're here to bring any value that we can to you. So hit us up, ask any questions you have. You know, we're just moving along on this journey ourselves, trying to figure shit out. So, you know,
It's just the
let's
beginning.
go. It's just the beginning. Every day is just a fucking beginning, man.
Yeah.
So right on, man. All right,
Yeah, my
William.
next goal, man, is blue belt. So that's the next goal. So I got to get there. Next couple of months. Hopefully, I can push to get that. I don't know.
Right on. Right on, man. It's yeah, I'm sure that's coming, man. So yeah, it'll come. It all comes with consistency and work. So right on, man. I'll talk to you soon and I'll let you get to the kiddos. And yeah, I'll see you later, man.
Awesome.
Here. All right, William.
Chat with you soon, man.
Yep. See ya. Bye.